All right, guys, you remember that lift kit we spent several days installing on our sprayer back this winter? Well, today it's time to activate it. It's time that we go apply a fungicide on our corn. It's tasseled out, almost brown silk, and we're gonna need that extra clearance to spray it. So I got the sprayer loaded up with fungicide and ready to go. Before we get to that, I got several minutes of videos of some spraying we did on our soybeans a couple days ago. So we'll get to the corn fungicide after we get done watching that. Open sesame. All right, got another busy day planned today. Give you an update of what we've been up to since we loaded the last of our wheat crop, hauled it off. We got some more wheat loaded. This is some of our seed wheat. We got to be in Greenfield, Tennessee at 7 o'clock Monday morning with it. They're going to clean that. That's what we're saving for seed. Still working on getting that sucker cleaned up and put away. All of our other wheat equipment and planters been washed and put away. Kelly got back from Western Missouri, 12-hour round trip with shields for the sprayer. You can see them right there to protect the underbelly, all the hoses and wiring whenever we spray the fungicide on our corn. Probably going to do that early next week, just depending on rain, because the disease is really close. We got southern rust, the disease we're concerned about most in our corn crop, definitely the most economic damaging, and it's been reported in eastern Arkansas, North Mississippi. Hadn't been reported in Tennessee yet, but it's definitely not very far away. And with southern winds, it won't take long to get up here. I got started working on some extra shielding right here to protect the airbags and hoses and wires from the corn stalks we run over it. See, that's what it looks like without it. All this stuff is going to be kind of vulnerable with the lift kit installed and with it jacked up, so that should give us a little extra protection. Today Zach is gone again. Brother getting married. His bachelor party was last weekend. Getting married this weekend, so he's out. So it's just me and Kelly, and we've got all of our double crop soybeans to spray. We're actually going to get started on it yesterday and started loading up the sprayer and checked radar, and thunderstorm just popped up to the west of us, so we stopped filling up, and sure enough, about 10 minutes later, it come a pretty heavy downpour. Anyway, not going to get anything done standing around talking, so let's get this thing loaded up. All right, we're out here in my adaptive management plots. Here's the first no-till plot. So you can see we got soybeans planted on it. We're about to spray it with a herbicide. And right over here beside it, we got the cover crop that we drilled a few days after we planted the soybeans. You can tell it's starting to come up, some of it pretty good. I think this right here is a cowpea. I think this is a squash plant. Got buckwheat here. Got another pea. I believe this right here is sun hemp. Another squash plant. And then we got some grasses here. I can't identify them by looking. Probably sorghum, Sudan, might be millet. Can't quite remember. Got another brassica here. I can't remember if that's okra. Can't remember exactly what brassica I had in here, but anyway, it's starting to come on up. Look pretty good. Maybe not quite as thick as what I was expecting. We're taking a drill and cutting through, 100 bushel per acre straw. You're definitely not going to get all the seeds in the ground, not near as well as you can with the planter. But anyway, it looks good. So that's a quick update on my summer cover crop situation. All right, we're out here spraying our double crop beans. This is some of the very first planted. You can tell, I mean, they look fantastic. Got some good height on them. And believe it or not, this is probably the only crop we got an absolutely picture perfect stand on. At least close to a third of my crop, we got a really great stand on. We're out here spraying Roundup and Prefix, trying to time this right in front of a rain so we can get the residual in the dual and the reflex, the components of the Prefix, so we can get them activated and prevent any pigweeds from coming up. Tomorrow, last I checked, tomorrow we've got a 100% chance of rain of 1 to 2 inches, which would be perfect on getting this activated. Although I don't know if we can get all 500 acres covered today. We sure gonna give it a good try though. Actually, our last planted wheat beans, because we had such a wide window on planting soybeans because we had the combine tear up, I'd like to see them a few days older with the first trifoliate really up there and open. A lot of the plants do have the trifoliate there, but some of the plants are straggling just a little bit and just at the point of putting the first trifoliate on. So really it's a little early. This Prefix is going to burn the beans real bad here for about a week to week and a half. After we spray, the beans are going to look terrible, but it doesn't affect yield any at all. It's just it's all cosmetic. But with those beans being that young, I'm hoping that they can withstand the stress of the herbicide okay and pull on through and not hurt them. Another fill up. Look at Kelly and her sexy pony hat. Weather's not looking too promising here. Let's check radar out. Yeah, I think I better hold up and see if this passes us by. No sense in spending this for about $14, $15 an acre and then just having it washed off. Well, if it does very much of this, we won't be doing any more spraying today. I don't know if you can see it very well. Or hear it hitting the cab roof. Oh, there it comes. It's coming down now. Hope this don't last long. We still got beans to spray. Alright guys, we're back at it. Oh, we had to wait about 30 minutes for the storm to pass, then about another 20 minutes for the water to kind of dry up on the plants so our spray wouldn't just run off. It's definitely on the muddy side out here, but we're rolling on with it. Really want to get as much of this ground sprayed as we can today so we can get this pre-merge activated tomorrow with the rains. We got a lot of spraying to do. We got the rest of these beans. We got to spray fungicide on corn. I got to run the hooded sprayer over my cotton, and we're probably going to have to make another plant bug application on cotton before we leave, just to make sure our crops are laid by for the week or so that we're going to be gone on vacation. Last half load of the day. Now remind me, who said we wasn't going to get done today? Who said we wasn't going to get done today?
Mother Nature, have you not looked?
I believe you said we weren't going to get done today. About 450 gallons to finish up the last farm. Well, look at that. We're already getting our chemical activated and we're not even done yet. And the sun's shining.
Look at that.
Luckily that one blew up after it got by us.
There it is. Look. Right there.
Are you watching how much water we got? That's your job to fill up, not mine. Hurry up, I'm getting wet.
Cut it off.
You can see a little faint rainbow there. All right, you can dance in the rain. I got an aversion to getting wet today. Well, we just got done, just right as the sun was setting. Well, we're gonna get this thing back to the shop. I still got some more work tonight. Gonna finish mocking up the rest of these shields, so Zach can put them on first thing Monday morning while I'm hauling our seed wheat to be cleaned. We got some really good looking corn out there. As soon as it dries up after this rain, we're gonna get over the top of it with a fungicide and give this lift kit on this sprayer a test out, see how well it works. That corn's right at brown silk and we got southern rust surrounding us. All right, we're getting our booms purged with chemical. Let's get this thing aired up and see what it looks like. Definitely one problem with it. I'm 6 feet 2 inches tall, and that's a pretty dang big step for me from the ground. All right, here we are on the first pass. Got some pretty tall corn here. Boom's just at tassel level, right where we want them. As I said, I'm 6'2", so we got about 9 foot tall corn here. I'm guessing not the tallest corn we'll have, not the shortest corn we'll have. See what it looks like under the sprayer here. Boy, it's easy to get lost out here quick. All right, so here we got the axle of the sprayer. Down right here we got the ear. This ear placement is pretty high. We definitely want the axle above the ear to risk breaking over any stalks. But as you can tell, they're just bending nicely, going up under the axle. These shields I made right here, protecting this airbag real good. I had a dickens of time getting the rear to air up with a full tank of solution. You know, a full tank adds about 8,000 more pounds, and a lot of it's going to be on the rear end. We finally got it aired up. You can see the back axle right there. Now, this is a debate every year why I use a self-propelled sprayer to spray my fields versus using an airplane to spray my fields. But for one thing, an airplane is going to cost me an additional $10, $11 an acre. And at max, if I get lucky, they'll put out 5 gallons of water per acre. That's 5 gallons of water spread out a little over 43,000 square feet. Now at 20 gallons per acre with this sprayer at, you know, around 65 PSI, you can see what kind of coverage I'm getting right there. I mean, you can see some wet spots. So we're getting fungicide all the way down in the canopy. You can see this ear got coated real good. The one we're really concerned about is the ear leaves. That's where most of the photosynthetic energy is going to go for the ear of corn. And it's nice and wet. So we're getting good coverage all the way down in the plant. And with a fungicide and disease protection, that's what you want. Now don't get me wrong, airplanes can do a good job, especially out in the Midwest where the fields are big and flat and smooth. Here in West Tennessee, I don't care how good the pilot is. And we got some good ones. I'm not faulting crop dusting pilots at all. They do the best job they can. But with the topography we have, you see that big tall tree line is probably at least 50, 60 feet in the air right beside the field. We got one on that end. We got another one on that end. I mean, airplanes flying however fast they are just cannot get low enough. And I don't care how much downdraft the wings have, they still have to fly pretty high up in the air. And at 5 gallons of water per acre, you're just not going to get the coverage. You're especially not going to get the coverage around the edges of the fields, the corners, the inrows.
And we can just do a lot better job with a self-propelled sprayer. Again, I'm not faulting crop dusting pilots. They're awesome at what they do. There ain't no way in heck I could even do it. But to get the job done right, it calls for the best tool. And out in the Midwest, big wide open fields, an airplane is probably a better tool than a sprayer. Here in the rolling hills of West Tennessee with power lines everywhere, tall trees everywhere, I believe a self-propelled sprayer is the best tool for the job. So that's why we put the lift kit on it, so we can spray our corn, get great coverage all the way down through the plant, get the maximum value or get the maximum benefit out of our fungicide, which is costing us about $16.50 an acre. Also get the most timely application. You know, there's just a lot of benefits here. All right, I'm sweating a whole lot. It's just a little bit humid down here in this corn. I'm gonna get back in the AC. Dadgum that step, I can't be doing this much more. Here's a little bit better view of the tree line. You see trees there, there, there. This whole field is surrounded by trees. And airplanes, I mean, they can dive by them all they want to, but even out here in the center of the field, they're still liable to be, you know, 20, 25 feet above the level of the crop. Whereas I got my booms right on top of the crop, no chance of drift. It's all going down in the canopy, getting real good coverage at 20 gallons per acre. So right now we're able to cover this. Let's say we're spraying at we're spraying almost 10 miles an hour, and you know, it's just bending the top of the corn over a little bit, not causing any damage. Now when I get into some taller corn than this, which we're gonna have some of, I'll have to slow down a little bit, but I still should be able to spray faster than the 5 miles an hour that we were spraying with our old 4830, because it's just got so much more clearance. I'm also keeping a watch out for any pigweeds I can see coming up through the canopy, especially in you know, any drowned out spots that we have. I've got a backpack sprayer filled with Liberty on the sprayer. If I find a bad enough patch, you know, out in the middle, hard to get to, I'll hop down off the sprayer and go ahead and spray it. Otherwise, I'm just taking note of it, and I'll come back later on my side-by-side and take care of them then, because I don't want any pigweeds going to seed. Because the ones out here in the middle of the cornfield with all the nitrogen we put down for the corn and just growing unchecked, they can produce a lot of seed and cause problems for the next 5 years. So what we're actually spraying today is a fungicide and a foliar fertilizer. The fungicide is Pro at 13.7 ounces per acre, and the foliar fertilizer is Full Bore at 8 ounces per acre. Now, foliar fertilizer is nitrogen and boron mixed together. Nitrogen really doesn't do much, but it acts as a great adjuvant for the fungicide to get it into the plant. The primary reason for that fertilizer is the boron, which I believe helps aid in setting more kernels, especially those on the tip end that get whatever nutrients are left over. I really think it helps the corn plant set a few more kernels on the tip ends of the ears. The disease we're trying to control, there's several different diseases, but the primary one is definitely southern rust. It's probably the most economically damaging disease in corn in our area anyway. It's not as big a problem up in the Midwest as it is here, but southern rust doesn't overwinter here in Tennessee, but it does overwinter down south, you know, Louisiana, you know, somewhere in the coastal areas. And as the season progresses, the southern winds we get move the disease up this way. And I checked the map where southern rust had been confirmed last night, and it has been confirmed in northern Mississippi and eastern Arkansas, which is right next to it. So there's a very high probability that if it's not already here in West Tennessee, it's very close. So it's always best to prevent a disease rather than try to cure a disease. So the Pro has 3 different modes of action. I think one of them is a preventative and 2 of them are curative. It's great on corn diseases. So we're just trying to head off this disease before it sets up shop in our fields and starts to reduce yields. So right now, we've got a pretty dang good corn crop. I don't think it's going to be a record corn crop, even though we've had some weather that's been close enough, being good enough to make a record corn crop. We just don't have the stand of corn that we need to make a record corn crop. You remember from planting season, you know, we had a lot of problems. Just ground temperatures was just not conducive to getting a good early germination on corn, quick growing. So we got a few spotty areas in the field, and then you know, we got some uneven areas in the field where the corn just suffered in cold, wet soils. But here the last few weeks, ever since we got done with wheat harvest, we've had some really good rains in this area. We haven't had any big gully washers, but we've had half inch here, half inch there, and so on. We've had conditions that have been really, really favorable for disease development, especially like southern rust, and great leaf spot is another one that we're concerned about. Right now, we're not making yield by spraying this fungicide. We're just trying to protect the yield that's already there, make sure we don't lose any more. All right, we finally got done with the first farm. 80 acres of small, odd-shaped fields, terraces, and rough. Now we got into some of our stoutest corn ground. Got a 14-acre bottom here, got Pioneer 1464 here, and I'd say this is probably about 11-foot tall corn right here. I had to slow down a little bit just because it is so tall. We still getting it sprayed. Man, I'm really liking this lift kit. Only had a couple small issues with it. Really the only thing I don't like about it is the air actuators on it to tell the airbags to air on up. They're kind of weak and flimsy, and with the suspension bouncing, the air fittings have got caught on some brackets. And anyway, plus those brackets I made on the shields, they need to be they need to do a little bit of modifying to them. I mean, they're working, but I gotta get out there each time when I let it down or raise it up to make sure that nothing's catching back there and ripping lines or hoses loose. But it's definitely, in this tall corn, this lift kit is a ticket. It's making it a lot easier to see, to spray, to feel confident that I'm not going too fast and going to break off any stalks or anything. My booms are higher up in the air, so I'm getting better coverage on the top part of the plant. I'm really loving it, and for anybody that's got an R series sprayer and you want to spray a fungicide on your corn, or maybe even a late nitrogen application on your corn, I'd highly recommend it. It's pricey, but when you start looking at how much a plane costs to do it versus what you can do it for yourself, I'd highly recommend it. I figured with our limited amount of corn, you know, around 500 acres each year, you know, I can pay for this lift kit in 6 years. And that's just saving on the application cost. That's not taking into account increased yield because of better coverage, you know, especially around the edges of the fields. Possibly a better timing on your application because you're in control of when it gets applied. You can do it at the optimal time. Well, it's about that time of day. Time to call it quits. It's been a long day. Uh-oh. Got that big step again. Oh. Well, I definitely gotta say, first day with the lift kit's been a real big success. Really pleased with it. Let me show you the one problem we've had. These hoses right here. This right here normally mounts up to that bracket because we got the spacer in there. We just don't have not enough flex in the hole, so it's just kind of hanging there. And these hoses were wanting, every time the suspension went down, we're wanting to come down and get behind here and rub on that, which is not good. I still got to do some work because you can see where it's wearing on my hoses there. Probably gonna have to get some rubber or something like that just to protect the hoses a little bit more. But overall, I'm tickled. Just need a little bit of tweaking. Well, just waiting on my ride to get here. Kelly took the water truck back to the shop to get it filled up for tomorrow. Well, good day. We got 3 loads sprayed. Got about 150 acres out of the 370 acres covered that need to. We shouldn't have any problem getting it wrapped up tomorrow. We got the hard fields out of the way. Just got nice, big, flat, smooth fields from here on out. Should be able to roll along pretty good. And then, you know, the corn that we planted late and then had to replant, it's not ready for a fungicide yet. Zach probably get to it probably late next week, whenever right after we leave for vacation. It probably won't be ready to spray before we leave for vacation. Get done with this, get done with the fungicide tomorrow. I got a little bit of plant growth regulator. I need to spot spray on a few places in cotton where the cotton's actually starting to take off, believe it or not. And then I got to get back on the hooded sprayer, make our last post-emerge application of herbicides in cotton, hopefully get my weed control laid by. So anyway, we'll see you in the morning. Well, we're back at it this morning. Took a few minutes this morning to kind of try and help the situation where my hydraulic hoses were rubbing down there. Got some rubber hose, cut it into sections and zip tied it around the hoses just to try and keep it from wearing. But we're rolling good now. We finally got out of them little cookie cutter rough fields. Nice big 70-acre field over here on Clanton. Rolling on along 8-9 miles an hour. Some really good looking corn. Really pleased with this corn here. Now, it's got some uneven spots just like all of it, but overall, I mean, we could have some really outstanding corn on this farm. Still got a long ways to go though. We got about 200 more acres to go. Alright, we just got moved up here to the Porter Cable farm. I'm not one of those farmers that won't admit his mistakes. But you see those very discolored rows of corn there? Looks kind of like some scraping. Yeah, that was me. There's some more right there. What happened was I was down here a couple weeks ago and I had to replant a lot of this down here in the wet spot. And we've always had bad problems with pigweeds down here, just right here in this little area. So one day I loaded up with Liberty in the sprayer and just come down here and spray this because we started having some pigweeds and morning glories and other stuff coming up, and I just wanted to go ahead and kill them quickly while I could. And I didn't do any thinking. Down here in this field is where I got my refuge corn in. You remember my planting videos? We had it in like 3 out of the 12 rows. I knew the refuge corn didn't have any BT traits to make it resistant against insects. I did not think about it not having the Liberty Link trait in it. But yes, the refuge corn from Pioneer is strictly Roundup ready, not Liberty Link either. So I wiped out several rows. Luckily it's not too bad. It's just the end rows right here, just a little patch right here, and then right out here in the middle, right where I was kind of spotting in, replanting there. Total, it's not that bad. But I was fortunate enough that I did it right by the road. So right here in the city of Jackson, so everybody could drive by and see it. So I figured if everybody in Jackson has the pleasure of seeing my screw-ups, I figured I might as well let all of YouTube see my screw-ups too. Totally my fault. There's a little bit better view of it right there. Deader the doornail. You can see where my replanting stopped right there. But luckily I didn't spray the whole field. But luckily on the plus side, I didn't see any pigweed down there. They all did. If you look on these 2 rows right here, the one on the outside and then this one right next to the hood, you can see a difference in tassel. That's just the difference in varieties. One of them's a refuge and one of them I think is 1464. We're on the long rows now. Man alive, look at this. Holy crap. Oh, that was an armadillo hole. Jeez. Must have a whole family of them burrowing in there. Might need to change my drawers after that. Boy, there's going to be some bushels of corn come out of this field this fall. Pioneer 1847.
dark green color, tall. Guarantee you it's gonna have a big old cob on it. All right, guys, this is why I brought my trusty backpack sprayer along. Pigweed, pigweed, pigweed. There's one putting out a seed head. This part of the field was a little bit of a problem area last year. And it's a long ways from home. So places like this, while I'm already out here with a sprayer, we'll just go ahead and walk some of this, take care of the pigweeds that I find, and be done with them. I know you're thinking, oh, that's just one weed. I mean, it's not hurting anything. In reality, no, it's not gonna hurt the corn crop. That weed right there, don't kill it. By the time we come through with the combine and see it and spray it after corn harvest, there could be 500,000 seeds right here in this area. And if it happens to go through the combine, then those 500,000 seeds could be spread over a 40-foot swath for 100 feet. Then next year, instead of having one weed there, we got a lot of them there. And the seeds be viable for up to 5 years. So we got a problem area now. I don't want it to become worse. That's why I'm walking corn in mid-July with 100% humidity, because I don't want a worse problem next year. It's just things like that. That's what it takes to succeed. So anyway, we got about 1 acre here. We're gonna walk up and down the rows, see if we can get all the pigweeds and get them dead. Well, guys, we just about done spraying the corn. We got the rest of this load and then a partial load. We got the rest of this field and field across the creek. And that's gonna wrap this up. This is our last pass over corn. Next time we're in this field, it's going to be with a combine. And man, I can't wait to get the combine out here and see what this is going to do. Oh, just, I know I had several people ask about, Dad, gummit, there's another freaking armadillo hole. I hate those things. Several videos ago when I was repairing my combine during wheat harvest, I had several people ask me what the repair cost on it was, and I told them I didn't have at the time I didn't have the bill in yet. I was estimating it to be somewhere right between $5,500 and $7,500. We just got the bill the other day. $9,500 what it cost to repair that thing. Of course, the gearbox was a big part of the cost. It was $5,500. So if it hadn't been for that daggum gearbox, we would have gotten out considerably cheaper. But you got to pay to play, and that's the cost of farming. You know, a lot of people, when I tell them, you know, what this stuff costs, you know, their mouths just hang open. I've just become used to obscene bills in farming, whether it's, you know, seed, chemicals, fertilizer, repairs, you know, just about anything. It's actually pretty sad that when I now get shocked because a bill was lower than what I thought it was. I very rarely get surprised by how expensive bills are now. But anyway, guys, I guess this is going to wrap up this video. Don't really know what the next one will be. I know we'll have another one out sometime though. The final word on this lift kit is I love it. It was expensive, but I think it was a very worthwhile investment. As long as I'm able to keep this sprayer quite a few years, I think it's definitely a worthwhile investment. If I can remember, I'll post a link to the website. You know, if you have an R series sprayer and you're interested in buying one, if I can remember, I'll post a link to the website where I bought it off of.
down below in the description. Anyway, that's going to wrap this up, guys. I appreciate y'all watching. We'll see you in the next one.